We got a big battle in front of us, baby. And it's just started. So let's get funky like a monkey. For 16 years, the American dream has done it with you. Don't fail me now. Lord, don't fail me now.
The Wrestlebros are back. Wrestlemania week. Captain Lou, Vic Blaze, here to talk WrestleMania 37.
Damn. WrestleMania 37.
Crazy, huh?
I know I'm old and I've been around to see all of them.
I've seen all of them, but not live.
Well, I was alive for all of them now. Have I seen them all live? No.
The first was 84, right?
85.
80. Oh, I might have been born. I was born 420. Do you know exactly what date was the first one?
3/31.
I missed it. It's fine.
You missed it by a couple of weeks there, friend. Just by a couple of weeks you missed it.
It's all good. It's all good. Nothing crazy. All right. So fun weekend. Got some a WrestleMania that to me over-delivered. And a lot of fun stuff happened. So let's just get right to it.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right, let's start with what might have been my favorite match, not because it was the best technical match, but it just felt like the most important match. Bianca Belair, Sasha Banks. The only match that made me cry, and I knew it would, because Bianca's a crybaby, and if Bianca's gonna be a crybaby, then I'm gonna jump right on the crybaby bandwagon and cry right with her. Oh God! But this match was exactly what it needed to be. The right person won, which was Bianca Belair. Those first 10 seconds is talk about a WrestleMania moment. That's you see these girls, they're staring at each other, and Bianca's just, you see all that emotion in her face, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm like yelling already. I'm like, this is awesome. Da, ba, 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 ba. Oh my God! Talk about a baby face. This is, I mean, it was just awesome. And then the creative moments that they came up with to show off Bianca and make her feel special. The huge tail whip with her hair, bang, that echoed across the entire arena.
Entire stadium heard that.
Yeah, that was.
And Sasha felt that she got a nice mark.
Yeah, memorable spot right there. Then her doing like the gorilla press, walking up the stairs just to show off how strong she is. Look, you need things like that in your arsenal that are unique to you, right? It's good to have a few tricks up your sleeve. You know, like when Cena would catch people jumping off the top and he'd roll backwards and then throw them on his shoulder.
Correct.
You know, like the Cena spot. Like, you know, so it's good to have these spots.
I thought it was the 5-knuckle shuffle.
It's good to have these spots that really, we'll remember that as a Bianca. That's the Bianca spot right there. So next time someone does it in 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, oh, that's the Bianca spot. Remember that?
Well, that depends. If she does it more frequently, to where she did it once, which is great.
People will never forget that. If you watched it, you'll never forget that. I don't think people will ever forget that match. It had like this larger than life feel to it. This really big, important moment.
Yes.
To, you know, on a technical level, I don't think it was the best executed match, whatever. But it had the most emotion, right? It had the best star-making performance, you could say, whatever. The light was on Bianca. Sasha did everything in her power to get this girl over. Had the best possible match. It's like, what else do you want, really? It closed out the show. This is as good as it gets, and I loved every second of that match.
Yep. I mean, listen, this match was exactly what it needed to be. Again, you look at Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair looks like a star. The moment she walks out, she's gorgeous. She's fit. She's got the whole gimmick working. And she looks like somebody you want to cheer for. Sasha Banks comes out, and she too looks gorgeous, and she looks like a star. And if you're a longtime fan, you have every reason to want to cheer for her. And although Sasha Banks was technically not a heel in this contest, she was technically not the heel, but she was healing throughout parts of the match. It's just as a means, again, if you're trying to get Bianca Belair over as a babyface, then Sasha Banks cannot be a babyface herself. She's going to have to heal. And she did. She used, it was such a really well done story in terms of Bianca Belair in the beginning of the bout established the fact that she is bigger and physically stronger than Sasha Banks. And Sasha Banks, by the look on her face, she realized that almost immediately. She was like, okay, I'm going to have to use some ingenuity to kind of get through this match. And Sasha Banks used, so many, I've never seen anybody, I kept looking at the match and saying, well, if Bianca Belair has a braid as tall as she is, well, you might as well take advantage of it if you're the opponent. And Sasha Banks would grab it. I think she put her in the bank statement, having the braid tied up. So obviously the thought process is, well, Bianca, if she's going to want to get out, she's going to have to rip the braid out of her head if she wants to get out of the hold. It was just so many really good, really, really good things about this match. Bianca Belair obviously showing the power. You mentioned the gorilla press through the steps. She also had the one spot where she was trying to suplex Sasha Banks, and Sasha Banks kept refusing. She's trying to put her weight down, and Bianca would not let her down. And she kept picking her up, and Sasha's trying to bring her back down. And then Bianca finally gets her up and holds her there, blam, and drops her. I was like, okay, this is just all fantastic stuff. I mean, it's in the beginning when the bell rang and both women looked at each other and looked at the crowd and they were starting to get misty-eyed, I was screaming at the TV, no crying.
I would say yes.
No, I'll tell you why. The reason why I was like, I didn't want the crying in the beginning is because I'm like, save it for the end. Once Bianca won the match, and I'm like, yes, now you can cry. Now you can cry. Cry all you want. Cry me a puddle in the middle of the ring, and I ain't got nothing to say. But in the beginning of the match, I was like, I get it. But they kind of both looked at each other, and I was like, listen, let's get the match going. And when they did, it was fantastic. And this is a minor note, and this has nothing to do with the match. It actually has to do with the person that they picked to be the referee for this match. I actually thought to myself, I'm like, I was a little upset that Jessica Carr was not the referee for this match. You figure women's title match, main eventing WrestleMania, you would want to have the female referee. That would have been a special moment for Jessica Carr to referee the match. And I know that there's a black female referee on NXT. If she was up in the main roster, I'd be like, that's her spot. But she's not. So I just thought to myself, Jessica Carr should have refereed this match. I just think, and again, it's no knock on the referee. The referee did a fantastic job. And overall, I'll just make the statement now in the beginning. The referees this weekend at WrestleMania, the WWE referees, did a phenomenal job. Excellent job refereeing those matches. Because a lot of the matches went out to the floor. And, you've heard me bemoan this so many times about referees not counting and referees just kind of letting the wrestlers fight on the floor ad nauseum forever and ever. Every single match, whenever the match went out on the floor, all I heard is 1, 2. Like you could hear it, like they're screaming. There's no way you could miss it. And I thought that was really, really good. And I want to just give a positive shout out to all the WWE referees. because they did a phenomenal job this weekend at WrestleMania refereeing these matches. You know, in terms of making sure that everything that the referees should do in the ring, they did it. No real complaints, no real goof ups. So shout out to the referees this weekend at WrestleMania. But again, listen, brilliant match, beautifully done. And here's the one great thing about this match, that after the match is over, Bianca Belair wins the match. Everybody goes home happy. But here's the thing: at the end of the day, there's still room for a rematch, and we'd want to see it again. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, there was also a lot of people maybe didn't get to see this. There's footage of Sasha on the outside. Did you get to see this?
Yes, I think she was smiling on the floor once it was all said and done.
So, you know, you think about how much wrestling has changed. I'm sure there were some people back in the day that, you know, I think about maybe Savage and DDP, and Savage goes, "You're hitting the cutter tonight."
Mate, I think I'm taking the diamond.
Like, what? So yeah, you could just tell Sasha had that, like, yeah, like, you know, she felt like she did something for someone else that made them. It was important what she did.
I will say this on Sasha Banks's behalf, because unfortunately I read this online, and there's a group of fans out there that, you know, they bemoan the fact that Sasha Banks is 0-6 at WrestleMania. And, you know, some folks are saying, hey, you know, we like Bianca, but when is Sasha going to get her win? Let me make this very clear to you folks. Sasha Banks is 6-0 at WrestleMania in terms of all the people that she's been able to put over and all the fantastic matches she's had. This right here is the biggest win that Sasha Banks has ever had in her career, and she lost. Because this was a fantastic match. Again, I have been very adamant that I've always thought that Sasha Banks is the best female performer in the WWE. And, you know, people can tell me, you know, Charlotte Flair, if people might like Becky Lynch or Rhea Ripley or Asuka, whomever else. But to me, it's Sasha Banks. And it's because of the fact that Banks can play both babyface and heel. She had the main event spot in the first night of WrestleMania, basically made a brand new star. She made Bianca Belair on this night. And listen, Bianca's worked very, very hard, and she earned every single thing she got. But if you put Bianca Belair on that night in the ring against any other woman in the WWE, the match may not have worked. And with Sasha Banks, listen, was it perfect? No, but it was never meant to be perfect. But when you look at it as a whole, you could not have asked for anything more. This is the biggest win in Sasha Banks' career, and she lost the match. So believe me, she doesn't need to get any wins at WrestleMania, because all the women that she's helped put over, Sasha Banks is a winner. And I want the fans to start thinking that way, because man, you couldn't have asked for anything more.
All right, let's go to Lashley and Drew McIntyre, which opened up night one, and there were rain delays. And
how long was it? 45 minutes, was it?
Yeah, but it didn't feel that bad. They did a good job of stalling, and they had some impromptu promos,
which were really good, actually. WWE
were
did a
better
good job
than most of WWE's normal promos. It's like when you have great promos, let's say if it's a Drew McIntyre or Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, or an Edge, Daniel Bryan, don't have them memorizing a bunch of nonsense. Tell them what you want from them and let them go out there. Now, if it's a guy who's not a great promo, then okay, then you baby him 1,000%. But not everyone's a bad promo. Some guys can go out there like this. You give them, look, you need to stall, sell the match. Go out there, give me 3 minutes, and they'll kill it.
How great was the promo when MVP was and Lashley were cutting their promo, and then Drew jumped in on it. How great was that?
Yeah,
that was awesome. And the thing is that obviously they're clearly stalling for time,
mm-hmm.
But realistically, with all those great talents they had, in all sincerity, WrestleMania could have even been delayed even longer. Thankfully, it wasn't. But let's just say it would have went for another 20, 30 minutes. They could have showed video packages, and with all those talents they have out there. I mean, Shane McMahon cut a good promo. He was the very first person. Then MVP interrupted him. Then Drew McIntyre got in. That turned into, and I really loved it because you could tell that looks like, and since they were opening the show, you could tell that they're ready to go. And I was like, whoa! I was like, man, oh man,
they were on edge, right? They were on edge.
Oh boy, no kidding.
But yeah, a great way to start off the show. Talk about this is, I like when me and WWE actually agree on something. Was there a pre-show match?
I'm sure there was.
I didn't hear anything about a pre-show match.
I mean,
and I was saying the first thing, especially since Drew wasn't closing out the show, the first thing, you haven't had fans for over a year. The first thing you need to show the fans
put your top guys
Drew's
out
music. Drew has to go out, and he needs to, man, that's the first match. First person, Drew McIntyre. That's exactly what I wanted. I'm so happy they made that decision.
The first person the fans saw was everybody.
The first thing they saw was everybody, but that's fine. They wanted
welcome to WrestleMania. I have to admit, I kind of like the fact that we saw Vince, but God bless him, man. He looks old, man, but God bless him.
Old, but he doesn't.
He's still hanging tough. He's still hanging tough.
He looks really good, actually.
Yeah, listen.
The guys that were with was like, how much work has he had done? I was like, I don't think he's had that much work done. I think this guy is just a machine.
Man, let me tell you, man, Vince McMahon for 75, 76.
Yeah, man. He's still kicking. He does not look 75 at all. He's that man. I don't see.
He's a lot smaller. He's a lot smaller these days, but that's okay. At 75.
I bet. Well, he's smaller than his 99 version, 2000 version, but I bet you he's still pretty shredded.
Yeah, he ain't going at 240 no more. He probably at about 215, 220 these days.
Yeah, which makes sense. Hey, Triple H is down about 25 pounds since his biggest, so we'll be fine.
Yeah.
Well, actually, Triple H at his biggest, who knows? He might have been 300 when he had fell in love with bodybuilding, and he started getting ridiculous.
Yeah. They used to introduce him at 272, and I'm like, He's like,
well, if they introduced him at 272, he probably was 255, but he looked 300 at his peak. He looked crazy, but he knew what he was doing in the gym. But anyway, Lashley McIntyre. First music we're gonna hear is Drew McIntyre. That's the first song played. Fine by me. That's exactly what I wanted. And these two guys did exactly what I expected. They went out there. They had a good match. I did not expect Bobby Lashley to have a bad match. They had a really good match. Drew has been very consistent, and he delivered again. They kind of did a Lesnar match, but instead of using their finishers, they were kind of using their secondary moves a lot, which is better. I prefer that.
Yeah, so you don't want to waste the finishers and have people kicking out of them or whatever.
I get it. I like when people kick out of a finisher once every 3 years, something like that at WrestleMania. Absolutely, I get it. You become more difficult to defeat at the biggest show of the year. Your adrenaline is through the. It makes sense to me.
Oh, absolutely.
I like that, but it's been kind of run through the ground with the big guys. The big guys, you got to hit your finisher 7 times. No. So I'm glad that Drew, they probably told him, hey, how about you hit the Claymore 3 times? I'm sure he was like, I'll do the Future Shock. It's almost my finish.
I mean, he hit him with that DDT. He hit him with that DDT twice because the first one was still see-through. Unfortunately, he did it 2 more times and they looked good. The second and third time they looked really good.
Yeah. So that's kind of the direction they went. Then they kept teasing the Hurt Lock. So that's the story. I'm gonna get you in this Hurt Lock, and you're in trouble if I do. And that's basically what happened.
No, and And the thing about this match is, in all honesty, I actually thought that both guys over delivered. To be quite frank with you,
They did a very good job.
because I was expecting to have, a typical big man match, but at the same time, one of the things that kind of got me about both of them is that for the most part, the guys that they've been working against over the last year or so, they're all smaller, and it's just natural because I mean it's very rare that you're going to get guys as big as Lashley or McIntyre. It's very, very rare, but when when the two big guys work against each other, your fear is that it's going to be a little slower and it has to be more prodding just because the psychology has to work itself that way. And they did have the typical big man match, but it wasn't boring. It was actually very exciting. They both got again, to use you're exactly right. They used a lot of their secondary moves and got them all over. And the reality was is that Drew never got the Claymore on Lashley. And then when Lashley got the hurt lock on him, Drew try as he may, because he struggled for about a minute or two, and then he passed out, and the referee had to call the bell. And I just thought to myself, I'm like, this is brilliant. Because my fear was, my fear going in was is that Lashley was going to lose this match. I'm glad he didn't. The only one thing that I wish would have happened is, quite frankly, is that I wish that McIntyre would have came in as the champion to have Lashley beat him. I think it would have probably been a little more emphatic had Lashley come in as the challenger and beat McIntyre for the title. That's really my only, the only thing that I wish was different. But this was a really fun match. I enjoyed it, and in all honesty, I want to see them rematch. I don't think we're going to get it anytime soon, and it shouldn't happen anytime soon. I think that they should tell the story of McIntyre fighting his way back, because Bobby Lashley is, he's going to go through this run and he's going to have a very dominant run, I think, as a champion. Do I think that he's going to lose to McIntyre? Eventually, I believe he will, but it's going to take some time, and I hope it's not anytime soon, because Lashley has done outstanding work, and it should be rewarded by him being the champion for an extended period of time.
Yeah, I wanted Lashley to win. I've been saying this for months. Let's keep it on him. If you want to drop it at SummerSlam, okay, let's build to SummerSlam. Let's get people real excited about a rematch at SummerSlam.
Yep, and I'll be totally fine with that, because obviously Drew McIntyre is going to have to go through, quite a few. He's going to have to get through quite a few obstacles between now and then, if that's where WWE is going with it. But I enjoyed the match, and I certainly want to see them rematch.
All right, let's go to that tag team turmoil match. I don't have the other contestants here.
You need the team.
Naomi and Lana versus Mandy and Dana versus Natty and Tamina versus the Riot Squad versus Carmella and Billie Kay.
It's amazing how the Riot Squad is the only one that has a team name.
Yeah, because they and even they were broken up.
I would say that for Tamina and Natty, they should just call themselves the Dynasty.
It makes sense. Yeah,
that would be a cool. But anyway,
I mean, I wouldn't keep Natty and Tamina together. This was like a little thank you for your years of service match for Natty and Tamina.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
I think, which is good. I think
those two women deserve to be on WrestleMania. They do.
Yeah, I mean, at least give. I'm not a huge Tamina fan, but give her. She's been with the company for a long time. Throw her a bone. So now they gave her a 2 WrestleMania matches. I think that's good. I think we're good to go with that.
I don't know, man. I think Tamina and Natty are going to be around for the next little while.
No, you can keep them together. You can keep.
They're going to be a tag team.
I think you can do more with Natty than having her with another veteran. Natty's basically elevating Tamina, and Tamina's been with the company I don't know how many years.
Well,
how many years?
Oh wow.
Take a guess.
I'm going to guess now. I'm going to guess 15.
Yeah, me too. I'd imagine about 15. which is fine.
15 is my guess.
All right, so
Don't.
you have the Riot Squad, Naomi and Lana. It's also fun. I think what night one did for me was that it kept me smiling. I wasn't worried about people blowing spots or, oh, you should have did this or you should have did that, or I didn't agree with the finish or blah 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 blah. Night one, I was excited to see fans in the stands. I was excited to see WrestleMania and to see the wrestlers get to perform in front of fans, and you can feel that energy, that happiness. It was day one was like the happy day, and I was in a happy mood watching WrestleMania, and every match kept me happy for the most part. I watched it with the intention of having fun. Like if I had a couple of brewskis and went to the movies to watch a comedy. Like, you know what I'm saying? So
Well,
that's kind of how I watched WrestleMania day one. And that's what day one did for me. It really was fun. It was
a good show.
night. So even this match, which was all over the place, but I don't care. I really don't care.
But here's the thing though, even though it was all over the place, it wasn't bad. For what it was intended to be, it was actually really good for what it was intended to be.
I didn't notice if it was good. I honestly didn't even notice, and would have not noticed if it was like a stinker or not. But because I was trying to have fun, I'm watching and having a good time. So, and I noticed what they were doing with Natty and Tamina, and clearly this was set up to put that shine on Tamina basically, and that was fine. Like, and Tamina and Natty are gonna win this and go on to the next night to challenge for the titles, which you would expect to be a stinker against Nia and Shayna. For me, I would expect to be a stinker, but I had fun watching that too because the story made sense. And they had me. I thought Natty and Tamina were gonna win that match at certain points. I'm like, wait, would they do this? They would do this because they've done it with Zack Ryder a couple times. They would do this.
The ending was good where, Natty had Nia Jax in a submission hold, and then, Baszler got a hold of her, and apparently Baszler was legal in the match. She got her in the Karabuta clutch. Is that what it's called? She got her in her choke, and I remember that I was looking at the TV watching it, and I was just like, Tamina, where are you? It's just like, you gotta get in there. When the match ended, all I thought to myself was, this ain't over. It's not over. There will be a rematch.
It's funny because I thought they were, in hindsight, I'm like, damn, it probably would have been nice to put the titles on Natty, and you would have got a crazy probably reaction and a nice moment for Tamina. It would have had probably a similar effect to that Zack Ryder IC title moment.
Yes, but
not that you want to do that every year,
but this is where I think that it's more of a story driven deal, because here's the thing. This was a heel versus heel match because obviously Natty and Tamina are heels on SmackDown. And in this match, Natty and Tamina were essentially the baby faces.
They were definitely the baby faces.
They were the baby faces in this match. So it makes sense for them if you're going to have them rematch, which I hope that they do. Because again, you can look at particularly Tamina and be like, she's not what she once was. But and Natty Neidhart, still as great as she is, again, she's 15 years into her run, probably somewhere in that neighborhood in the WWE. So you're talking about two veterans in that locker room, and I'm sure that if you talk to the women, they're all going to tell you that the Natty and Tamina, they're the leaders of that women's locker room. So it makes sense to have them as a team because, of course, yes, we know that Natty, she's very, up and down, in and out, when they have her as a singles. And Tamina, unfortunately, she's had a lot of injuries, over the last several years, and that's really hampered her from getting any traction as a single star. But I think in this tag team situation with Natty Neidhart, it's a really good way to be able to expose her, to expose her experience and her talent, and be able to do so in a way where, you know, she's a little more limited, doesn't have to work the full match. And ultimately, do I think that Natty and Tamina are going to take the titles off of Jax and Baszler? In all honesty, yes, I do. I don't know when or how they're going to get there, but I have a feeling that it's going to happen, because when you take a look at the landscape of all the teams, all the other women tag teams in the WWE, whether they're, you know, full-time tag teams or makeshift teams, however you want to call them, in all actuality, I don't see any of them being able to put up the fight to Jax and Baszler that Natty and Tamina can. So in all honesty, somewhere down the road, like, don't ask me how we're going to get there, because I don't know, but eventually they're going to rematch and Natty and Tamina are going to take the titles off them.
All right, let's go to what I thought was, in terms of technical execution, was the best match probably of both nights. Cesaro versus Seth Rollins.
Terrific match.
This is all right. When you want to have your cake and eat it too, and maybe you don't know which side to pick. You have the young fans that maybe like the high flying stuff, or the high spot, I should say. You know, the exciting stuff, and then you have maybe the old school, like, oh, slow it down, work a hold, like, you know, tell a story. So
you got it all in this match.
This is what I believe a lot of the young wrestlers, like the super nerdy wrestlers that love wrestling, they don't only care about high spots. You probably think they do because they do a lot of high spots, but I think of like maybe a Darby Allin, a Jungle Boy, MJF, guys like that, or Drew McIntyre, who's not that young, but he's
Drew McIntyre's an old man by comparison.
By comparison, yeah. Well, there are not a lot of guys in the beast. I couldn't even think of one right now, but yeah,
I get what you're saying. You know, the younger talents you're probably talking out in NXT. You're probably talking like the MSK boys, and you know.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I see MSK, but this is what wrestling can become. This is the style that I try to explain to people. It can be done. You can have very, very athletic wrestling with great athletes who can flip and who can fly and do exciting things. And they can have a story and they can work a body part and they can build the match up. It can be done. You don't have to hate, oh, I hate that he did a flip. No, it can be done. It can be done. And this match, I love it so much because it proves it. You need the right guys. You need the right guys to do it. But this is exactly the type of wrestling that I love. Love, 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 love. This is just great. They did everything, but everything meant something. Everything felt like important. Like they're also telling the story because they're trying to get to the swing, but Rollins works Cesaro's arm, so he can't really fully get the swing. Yep, so the fans are now excited for the damn swing. When he first does the swing, he doesn't get to 10. He gets to about 9, has to put him down. Then later on in the match, they build. Here it comes. Cesaro, who in that ring is as good as it gets. I don't care what anybody says.
No one's denying that.
Well, I don't know.
Cesaro's fantastic. Yeah,
I know that. I know he's fantastic. I know that. Trust me, I've known that for a long time. So he sells the hell out of it. Oh, I'm gonna hit the swing. Y'all want it? And you see the fans losing their minds. And he hits them because story matters. I think last time he hit him with 22 swings.
Got him with 23 at WrestleMania.
He got him with one extra. He hit him with one extra. Look, what more do you want? This was perfection. This was so beautiful. I loved it. And Cesaro won. So now I think we're going to get Cesaro Roman Reigns very soon.
Yes.
And I don't expect him to beat Roman. But what I do want is what I got. And that's give Cesaro a chance to do what he does best. It doesn't have to be every week. It doesn't have to even be every month. But every now and then, give him a chance to go out there and have an important match. A long match that means something. Let him show what he can do. He proved it. He killed it. Now give him Give him 20 minutes on a main event with Roman. He'll kill it again.
Well, I mean, listen. We both know how great Cesaro is. I mean, the one thing that's always been a little bit of a caveat to me with Cesaro, again on TV, has been the way that he performs his promo. But I don't think that that's a lack of personality on his part. I just think it's just he's just reading bad material. Because I got a feeling that Claudio Castagnoli has a lot more personality than from a verbal perspective of what Cesaro shows on TV. But his in-ring skill has always been fantastic. And again, I think that people take it for granted because of the fact that in the WWE, again, it's the best of the best in terms of talent. So when you look at a guy like Cesaro, people just take it for granted, which is not, it's not right, but it just is, unfortunately. In this particular instance, getting to work with Rollins, knowing that Rollins has a ton of credibility in the WWE, meaning being a multiple time world champion, having worked many main events, he has a lot of equity in terms of the elevation of Cesaro. And they've told this story over several months, and at every impasse it always looks like Rollins is trying to get the better of Cesaro, and Cesaro's always gets the upper hand. And what ends up happening is, in this particular match, this match was a showcase to get Cesaro over. And guess what? Mission accomplished. Mission accomplished. Rollins did everything that as an opponent he needed to do. Tell the story. Obviously, he doesn't want to get in again. I'm just repeating all the stuff he said. Doesn't want to get in the swing. He works the arm because it also neutralizes, Cesaro's forearms. That that European uppercut that he does so well that just tears people's heads off. You take that away from him. And then, when Cesaro, got him in the end, he did that swing where he just had him on his shoulders, no hands, and he just does that. Then he does, the 85 swings. Then to top it off, he hit him with his finish, hit the neutralizer, blam, 1, 2, 3. It was perfect. The fans loved it. And in all honesty, when I saw this match, I was like, thank goodness. I was like, Cesaro's been in the WWE for 10 years, and he's well past due. He's well past due to be able to put himself in a situation as a single star where he can be viewed in the same level that people who I don't want to say people fans who really understand the skill level in the ring, that he's finally going to get that opportunity to work matches that are going to be at the level of his skill, and not be viewed as a good hand or a really great worker, but always working in the undercard. At the end of this match, like I said, you basically took everything right out of my mouth. I believe that he will be working against Roman Reigns very soon. I don't think that Cesaro will be Roman Reigns' next opponent, but very, very soon. Probably sometime this summer we'll see, even if it's 1 or 2 matches, but we're going to get something. Because Cesaro, hopefully now it's about the follow-up. Fantastic match at WrestleMania. Everything was really, really well done. Now let's see what happens, because the follow-up is the most important thing. So let's see what happens this week on SmackDown as the follow-up.
Raw Tag Team Championship, New Day versus Styles and Omos. This was interesting.
I enjoyed this match a lot.
You enjoyed it? Okay.
Yes, I did. I
enjoyed it because I don't want to say I've never seen this before.
Oh, this is old school. This is old school. This is like
old school, but it's reverse. The whole match.
Yeah, you're absolutely no. You're absolutely right. Because generally it's the baby faces that have the giant in the corner, and
when you work a match around a hot tag, where it's gonna be one hot tag. We got to get the one hot tag, and that's the story of the match.
Just usually the one tag.
Yeah, and it was one. And it was literally
one tag.
The one tag match, which has happened a lot, but usually it's a baby face because the fans want to see the baby face. Now they tried something similar with Daniel Bryan and Shane. Was it Shane and Daniel Bryan?
Yes, it was a couple of years ago.
Shane started the match. The fans did not like that because they've been waiting long enough for Daniel Bryan. They've been waiting years,
and it took forever to get him that tag, and people were starting to lose. They're like, "Come on, no." So
I get it, but listen, the psychology is correct, although the fans didn't buy it.
They didn't. Well, and you have to be careful. And here, this I think it worked. I think it worked, and even if it didn't fully work, like if the fans didn't fully get behind it, you kind of needed to do it. You kind of needed to do it because
the fans bought it. The fan, I'll let you finish, but I'll get to it. The fans definitely bought it because the whole match was basically Kofi and Woods neutralizing AJ Styles. It was a 2-on-1 match for the first 10 minutes, maybe longer.
Yep.
And then finally AJ was able to get away, and Woods is on the top rope, and then AJ tags Omos, and we're like, oh boy. And then from there, it's like, yeah, it's backwards because generally Omos is playing the role of Andre the Giant, beating up the heel tag team, and I get it, but everything was designed. It was perfectly done. Obviously, the baby faces were scared because now they've been making fun of Omos. They've been poking the bear, for lack of a better term, and now the bear is legally tagged into the match, and now they're going to have to deal with him. And Omos 2-on-1 just chewed up the New Day, and that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine because it was designed to showcase Omos. And the thing is that all the things that he did, limited as they were, all of them were executed properly. It was safe. It didn't look bad. He didn't screw anything up.
The only thing that looked bad was him waiting for a tag at times.
Well, yes, because
clear, he's standing like this, far away, and he has his hands straight out like this.
Well, there's a reason for that. The reason for that is that if there was a tag rope, let's just say that Omos, there was a tag rope, right, 2 feet long, and Omos can take like one big step in the tag rope. He's already past the middle of the ring. He's past.
No, I know. So I know. It just looked a little weird. I'm like,
that's fine, but
I was like, there's been plenty of tall guys, maybe not as tall as him, but damn, it looked so weird. But I mean, either way, it was still, he didn't look bad. He looked fine. They if he has any flaws, they hid them. So he did his he basically punched and kicked and then hit a big.
That's all you need to do when you're 7'3". When you're 7'3" and a cheeseburger away from 400 pounds, you don't need to be doing wrestling moves. Just pick people up and throw them down. That's all you gotta do.
Not at this stage in the game. So he can have these type of matches now. Him and AJ can pretty much have a whole tour.
Listen, AJ Styles can have the wrestling match, and Omos just does the cleanup work.
Yeah. I have no idea where they're going after this. I don't want AJ in this tag forever, but you got to kind of help this guy get going, and you got to kind of protect him for a long time. I don't know how much time he needs.
Well, I'll tell you this. Although we look at AJ Styles and we all look at him and say AJ Styles should not be in any tag team. He should always be as a single. But
no, it's fine. I mean, it's fine.
But look at it from this perspective, right? AJ Styles now is a Grand Slam champion in the WWE. So obviously, if you're going to be a Grand Slam champion, that means he's going to have to work tags at some point, on some kind of regular basis. For AJ Styles, this is an opportunity to keep him on TV. Let him utilize his personality in terms of cutting promos, because obviously Omos is not going to be doing that. So AJ can cut the promos, and again, he's gotten much better, and he's gotten to be an excellent heel promo. When the tag team matches are there, listen, AJ Styles is AJ Styles. I mean, he basically worked 1 against 2 against Kofi and Woods for literally 80% of that match. When Omos got in there, he was in there for maybe 3 minutes, just mopped the floor with Kofi and Woods, left him laying, and he literally put his foot over Kofi's chest. 1, 2, 3, done. Like you couldn't have asked for a better situation. Under the circumstances, it was exactly what the match needed to be. It's not going to be the most. It's not going to be the most brilliant match in the world. It's not intended for that. However, what it can do now is you can set up rematches to where now Kofi and Woods have to find a way to neutralize Omos. And the thing is, the stories that they can tell now, this first match was obviously, the story is we don't want Omos in the ring. Well, now that Kofi and Woods got their tails kicked by Omos, now the story becomes is what can we do against him? And then little by little, that's going to be the story of the matches going forward. You know, do I think that the New Day are going to beat those guys? I don't know.
I'd rather not. The New Day doesn't need it. I'd rather
No. But what I'm saying is that there's still the way that match was laid out and the way the match ended, it actually lends itself to more rematches because you can tell different stories because now it's from a different angle if you're the New Day. Because now, again, first match was all about we want to keep AJ Styles in the ring as long as we can and not deal with Omos. Once Omos got in there, he whooped us, left us laying flat on our backs, and basically single-handedly beat the New Day and won the tag team titles for he and AJ Styles. Now it's going to be a matter of New Day figuring out how do we neutralize Omos, and that's going to be the psychological point of how they tell their matches moving forward.
All right. Shane McMahon versus Braun Strowman. I had concerns for night one, right? This was one of the matches I was like, oh. And
yeah, me too.
Even the Omos match, I was like, AJ's in it, so, but I didn't know what Omos could do, so I was like, ugh. And then the Bad Bunny match, I was like, ugh.
We'll get to that momentarily.
This is why WrestleMania night one was good, because everyone seemed to over-deliver. Almost everyone. Shane and Braun did a really good job. It ended up being a really fun match. Basically built around 3 or 4 moments, key moments. You start the match, you jump Braun with Riker and Elias. Okay, McMahon gets the early advantage. Not for long. Blah, 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 blah. Of course, it's Shane, so you're waiting for he's jumping off of something or getting thrown off of something.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's what we're waiting for. But the spot that I did not see coming was Strowman ripping the cage. I thought that was really cool. I knew there'd be a chance of something breaking. There's always a chance of the cage breaking, or someone. Or I thought he would throw Shane through the cage. I thought something like that would happen.
Well, technically, Shane would have won the match at that point.
Then Shane would have won. Yeah. So I was like, damn. I wonder what creative thing they're. I know they're gonna come up with something, because that's the point of having Shane in the damn match in the first place. You gotta have all these creative moments. If not, don't even bother wasting Shane. But anyway, they had the toolbox moment at the top of the cage, which they kind of tried to explain. I know you don't like when things are in places that they. Why are they?
What the hell? Why was that up there? That's just so silly.
But there were bags on all 4 corners, so it looks like the team that assembled the cage was working up there, and that's where they keep their tools.
Okay.
So they did try to explain why things were up there. And of course, it built towards that big bump from Shane, beautifully executed. Strowman throwing him off of the top of the cage, then coming down and hitting him with the slam, and then it's over. It ended up being fun, man. Like I had a good time. It was fine.
Yeah, I mean, it was the match. Listen, the match was exactly. Again, this is a match that this match was actually better than I thought it would be. Because the first thing I thought to myself was, all right, Strowman versus Shane McMahon. How are they going to be able to explain this in such a way that it makes sense? And the first thing they did was, they had Shane's minions jump Strowman, hit him in the back, hit him in the leg, and obviously what do? You take out one of the legs. It's going to make it more difficult for Strowman to dominate. So well done. Shane McMahon is just he really is amazing, and I think that people, now it's almost like every time Shane's in the ring at WrestleMania, that's all we're waiting for. We're waiting for that crazy bump, right? Because Shane always comes through with the crazy bump. Well, most people don't realize the psychology and the forethought that he puts into the matches. And there was a lot of forethought into this match. It had to be very simplified because, again, with a guy like Braun Strowman, he's a very difficult guy to get sympathy on, because again, he's 6'8" and whatever, 380 pounds or whatever.
80,
yeah, whatever they announce him at, 380, 385. So
he's a shoot that way. He's been on the scale on his Instagram, and yeah.
So the dude is, and he's shredded. He's just chiseled out of granite. The dude's gotten himself into fantastic shape. So again, and listen, Shane McMahon is a big dude, but he looks like a child standing next to Strowman. It just is what it is. So to have Shane's minions, help him throughout the course of the match, I thought it was a little weird that Elias and Riker didn't get into the ring. They did a bump where Strowman knocked them off the cage, and then they were just gone. And I thought that was a little silly, because I'm like, these are big men. Like that one little pissy bump should not be able to take them out for the whole match. I figured that there would have been a moment where they would have gotten into the ring, and Strowman would have to power slam them and do whatever, or hit him with a chair and just and take him out that way while Shane's trying to escape. When Shane was taunting Strowman and he was almost out, I was like, oh my God, Shane's actually going to win this match. Then Strowman grabbed him by the hand and yanked it through. And then when they showed the close up of the cage, I knew he was going to rip it off, because of the planks that were there were ripped through planks. So I was able to see that, but it was still a cool spot. You got Shane back in the ring. For a moment there, I was a little afraid, because I thought to myself, I was like, please do not throw Shane over the cage to the table, because you'll kill him.
Yeah, right.
Like I had a moment that I was like, please, Lord, please don't let this happen. When he threw him into the ring, I was like, that still sucks, but it's better than the alternative. If I had to choose between those two bumps, I'll take the one in the ring. Then Strowman hits him with the power slam. It was academic at that point. That was just like, there was no need for him to hit that power slam. I mean, after that big drop, hitting the power slam was academic. He pinned him. Again, it was a fun match. It was not supposed to be the greatest thing in the world. It really wasn't. But in all honesty, it was much better than what I thought it would be. So for that, kudos. Well done.
All right. Bad Bunny and Damian Priest versus The Miz and John Morrison. Yeah, they over-delivered, right? Because a lot of people don't give Miz the credit he probably deserves. Morrison is a freak athlete. Priest is really good. There's some things I don't like about Priest, though. and they were highlighted in this damn match. I hate his kicks. They're so ugly. I don't know. He's supposed to be a taekwondo, like legit taekwondo kid, a karate kid from when he was a kid. And I don't know.
Trying to throw those kicks as a working kick versus a shoot.
Yeah, he needs to go train with Aleister Black, or Daniel Bryan, or Asuka. Asuka's kicks are gorgeous. They probably hurt, but
I'm sure they do.
But she's giving you about 40% of a real kick. You still get that pop, pop. She still pops you with a kick.
Even 40% of one of those kicks, I'll be like, nah, I'm good. Thank you. No, I'm good.
Whatever. Anyway, I think they kind of went to the Ronda Rousey WrestleMania match playbook here, where the fans had no clue what to expect. So anything that was going to be executed at least halfway decent by Bad Bunny was going to blow the roof off the place, especially because he's working with The Miz. And since people hate The Miz, they want to see him get his ass kicked. Right off the bat, Bad Bunny's like, okay, I'm not a wrestler, so I'm going to throw hands. So when he throws his first set of punches, right away, the fans are like, yeah!
Well, his first set of punches looked really bad. He got better as the match went on, but in the beginning, it was a little rough in the beginning.
Well, when they showed the replay for the first punch, he clocked him. Bop! I was like, "Ooh!" So to me, I liked it. He hit him a nice little shot in the jaw. And if I was the Miz, that's what I would have said. I would have said, "Look, pop me, don't kill me, but give me something nice, make it look good.
Give me a little potato,
Lay it in, brother. It's WrestleMania. We got to make it look good." But yeah, Bad Bunny had his. They clearly came up with some moments for him. Tornado DDT, Canadian Destroyer, the splash off the top, a crossbody off the top to the outside.
He hit the Tiger Driver.
Oh yes, they hit
the Tiger Driver,
and it looked good.
Yes, it did.
And then there were also a bunch of moments where Bad Bunny had to sell, and he was taking punishment, man. He was throwing his body around and hitting that floor hard, boom, and he was laying and selling, which was cool to see. And then there was also a moment, a nice little test. Let's see if you really could do this, because there's a moment where Bad Bunny's laid out. I think he's completely laid out on the outside. He's pretty far away, and Miz I think hits the skull crusher finale on Priest, and this match looks like it's over. And I'm like in my head I'm already like, no way Bad Bunny's gonna come in and make this save and break this up. Like if he's a freaking Uso or he's a New Day member or something.
He was there.
And he makes it clean. 1, 2, breaks it up. Ah! So, I mean, what can you say? Bad Bunny, he killed it. It's always better when the celebrity actually loves wrestling, right? It's always way better. It's not even close. He respects it. And he respected it enough to put in the work, to go practice, to give his time. And he's a busy dude. He's a huge star. And clearly he must have been in that performance center every freaking night for I don't know how long. But he did it and he executed it. And the deal worked. It worked out. It made for a fun match. And I think everyone's better off for it.
I mean, this match was listen, I've always openly admitted I'm not a fan of Bad Bunny's music, but I have to admit he really did a really good job in this match. Now, again, does it help that Bad Bunny as a celebrity is a wrestling fan and that he grew up watching it, so he has an idea of how it's supposed to look, and then on top of it, he really wanted it to look good. So he really worked hard. And you could tell that he worked hard to make this. Now, when you said that they went through in the Ronda Rousey playbook, yes and no. You could buy it more with Ronda Rousey because of the fact that, she has an athletic background, being an Olympic judo champion, being a UFC women's champion. So all of those things, lend more credibility to her. Where you look at Bad Bunny, and again, Bad Bunny's not a big dude. I mean, standing next to Miz and Morrison, and again, Miz and Morrison are, average size for wrestlers. They're about 6 feet tall, and they go about 220 pounds, and they dwarfed Bad Bunny. Now, the thing is with Bad Bunny, again, I can look at this from an old school perspective and say that although Bad Bunny did a fantastic job, but what this basically does is that it makes the wrestling business look bad in the fact that they said any Dick, Tom, or Harry can do it. Because of the fact that Bad Bunny's a rapper, let's say that Bad Bunny trained for the last 3 months to do this match. Well, what does that say for guys and girls who've been doing it forever, right?
Well, it means that if you want to have a performance for one night, one performance,
that's how much you gotta work.
You have to go work your ass off every night for 3 months, and you need to work with 3 highly skilled, very seasoned professionals, and you won't be able to do that again on your own. There's a difference between a celebrity coming there and doing it one time where the
versus somebody who wants to do it every day.
Yeah, versus Bad Bunny showing up on Monday, knocking on whoever's door, whatever, with pick a wrestler, right? Bobby Lashley. Bobby, we're working tonight, brother. Let's go over the match. What do you want to do? I'm thinking.
How about Bobby tells him, how about one clothesline, hurt lock, you go home. How about
and
that?
Bunny's like, okay, I see where you want to go, but but how about we get them excited first? How about you work the neck, work the neck a little bit, get people, make people want the hurt lock.
I will say this. Yeah, that's ridiculous. But listen, this match worked really well. And again, people talk a lot of mess about the Miz and Morrison, and particularly the Miz. People need to put a lot of respect on Michael Mizanin's name. The dude has been in the WWE consistently. He's probably the longest tenured guy there currently. He's been there since 2005. He's never been out on injury. The only time he's ever taken time off is when he's out doing movies or TV shows or whatever.
And he might miss 2 episodes of a show. He might not even take that much time.
And I mean, what the point that I'm getting at is with the Miz is that although, and again, and I've said this a lot, and it bears repeating, although the Miz is presented as more of a like an upper tier comedic type wrestler, not comedic haha, meaning comedic in that in a situation like that with Bad Bunny, you can put him in there with the Miz and it would make sense. Like if you put the Miz in there against, I don't know, a Randy Orton or something like that, that's just ridiculous. It wouldn't work. But with the Miz, you can buy it. And the Miz is a swarmy enough heel that you want to see him get his ass kicked. But you as the audience you can say you don't take him seriously enough to where if Bad Bunny beats him up, you don't think that the Miz is losing any real steam. Because the Miz can basically talk his way back, and just like he did tonight on Raw, where he's like, hey, Bad Bunny had an outstanding performance, and guess what? It's all because of me. Like, how heelish is that when Bad Bunny beats him at WrestleMania and the Miz is taking credit for him having, a fantastic match. Again, Bad Bunny did an excellent job at this WrestleMania show. And in all honesty, I think that we're going to get one more match out of him. It will be a one-on-one match against the Miz, probably. They'll continue the storyline. They'll get one more match. Bad Bunny will beat him, and then we're done. And I think it'll probably be at SummerSlam because I think that's a big event, and it'll give enough time to where, WWE can continue promoting, Bad Bunny's tour coming up, late this year or early next year. So I honestly think that we're going to get one more match out of it. And in all honesty, if it was anything like what we got this weekend at WrestleMania, I'm looking forward to it. It'll be fun. It'll be fun.
They should do it. All right. So probably why I was in a better mood for night 1 than night 2 is because night 2 started with The Fiend, Bray Wyatt versus Randy Orton. And look, I think I have to be, I don't know, I can't be the only guy, but when it comes to The Fiend, I want this to work. I love Bray Wyatt. I really do. Everything he does initially is great. His character ideas and promo ideas are great. It's just, no one seems to know how to book him. Yeah, so I don't know what to say about this. The fact that in the same card we have The Fiend and Randy Orton, and Randy Orton set The Fiend on fire, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then they decide to have a standard traditional wrestling match. But not the same match, but WrestleMania, Shane McMahon goes, Braun, you are not smart. You are a dummy. You're dumb. And Braun goes, I need him in a cage. I'm going to kill him. there's something wrong with that. There is a huge disconnect, and it couldn't possibly be the same booker who books these matches. Like, what is going on?
Well, I listen. I honestly think that when it comes to Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton, or the Fiend and Randy Orton, this is one of. I think that the whole design of this match was honestly, it's to give Orton a graceful exit. We've said this, that after they had that match where Randy Orton burned the Fiend alive, that was just one step. That was just one step way too far. Like that was just like beyond any reasonable thing they should be done in a wrestling match, and it was just stupid. And afterwards, neither guy looked like anything hot business at the end of that. They both looked bad, and it's not their fault. It was just bad booking. Now in this match, when you see it, you're like, all right, well, where are we going? The one thing that I found just off the bat that I started laughing was when Bray Wyatt, first of all, the giant Jack in the Box was just hysterical. I looked at that and I said, well, it goes back to what Jim Cornette has said. If you come out of a box, you're automatically over. So, and I laughed at that. But then I looked at the Fiend and I was like, oh my God, the Fiend has mysteriously and magically gone back to normal.
Well, did you see him transform?
They
showed him transform.
Oh, okay, so I missed that.
Yeah, but it was magic. It was like he went. I forgot where he was. He's like in this.
Oh
place.
Yeah. I saw the video and all that.
And then you see the. I'm okay with that. Look, I'm okay with all that bullshit. Go ahead, keep finish your thought.
But the match actually made sense. You remember a couple of videos back when I said the one thing that I wish would have happened is that Alexa Bliss becomes Sister Abigail and essentially flips the script on the Fiend?
Oh yeah, I'm cool with that.
That's kind of what happened at WrestleMania.
That is kind of what happened.
Because again, they need to get Orton out of that. They need to remove Randy Orton, and it was a graceful exit. They gave Randy Orton a graceful exit and got him the hell up out of there. Good. Be gone. Move on. And when I saw that when Alexa Bliss came out of the box, and it almost, I mean, again, it had the whole Papa Shango,
I liked all that. I thought
all of that was great.
She looked great. I thought she looked so cool.
She looked really great. And here's the thing: when the Fiend was looking up and he's reaching out at her, the body language of the Fiend is basically now is that he's acquiescing. He's acquiescing and saying, "My God." Obviously, now the one thing that I kept saying was flip the script and make Alexa Bliss and the Sister Abigail to where she's now pulling the strings on the Fiend. I'm not saying that WWE listened to the show and said, "Hey, good idea, partner. We're going to try that," but it's kind of what happened. And
yeah.
I was confused by it because by the time that segment was over, I was confused.
Everyone was.
Like, but it's a good confused, not a. It was more like. Oh, okay. I was more like, you know what? I'm confused by this, but by the same token, I want to see more of it. Versus there have been other times where I've seen the matches and I'm confused by it, but confused like I don't want to see this anymore. So they gave Orton a graceful exit, and now apparently the story is Alexa Bliss and the Fiend and whatever this is becoming. I think that we're going to be moving on to whatever the next primary story in that in that saga is. But I think that we're not going to be seeing Randy Orton and the Fiend anymore.
No, we're not seeing Randy Orton and the Fiend.
Thank goodness.
And yes, I'm cool with that. I'm even okay with the Fiend losing because it's Alexa's fault. But the thing is, the way that match was, I'm okay with the match. I was enjoying the match, actually. When the technical execution of that match and the moves that they were using and the decisions they were making, I kind of liked everything. I liked the direction they were going. But when you have Alexa pop out of the box, okay, what does this mean? I have no idea. No one knows what this means. to me, it wasn't obvious that she, one, is trying to turn on Bray, which today in a promo, she basically said, yes, I turned on Bray. But it wasn't, she didn't do anything. She just showed up. And Bray is a giant monster. And to me, I'm like, even if he got distracted, if Randy hits him with an RKO, he should still kick out based on his history. I'm almost wishing that Randy didn't hit an RKO, that they simply just made it a little bit more obvious that Bray was confused and that Randy just pinned him, just rolled him up or something. Because at least it was obvious that it's the confusion that made Bray lose and that it wasn't one RKO. So when I see the one RKO and I'm like, I thought this character would eat this move and like pop back up on one based on what you've given me in the past. That's my only thing.
I got you.
Some people didn't like Alexa's look. I thought it would look so cool. I thought she looked super cool. I
just thought it looked kind of funny that after the match is over, the thing was still squirting out. I thought that was a little weird, but that's not her fault. That's just, it is what it is.
Alexa's facials are so good. She's such an evil little bitch.
She's perfect.
She fucking knows it.
She really is good.
Now, while I don't know what I was doing, but I was thinking about the match, and right away I go, well, okay, Bray Wyatt can't necessarily have a match with Alexa. So either Alexa has to find someone to go against Bray, or Bray has to find someone to go against Alexa.
I think it will be the former.
Yeah. Do you have any predictions?
This is where in WWE 1997, Mankind, Kane, those kinds of characters would be perfect.
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, the reality is I don't have. I don't have any kind of a real answer to that.
Well, let me tell you the first person that popped in my head. It was Nikki Cross. That was the first person that popped in my head. Nikki Cross was also the first person that popped in my head when people were asking who should be Sister Abigail 5 years ago, whatever it was, where people were starting to say maybe they should bring somebody up and have them be Sister Abigail. The first person that popped in my head for that decision was Nikki Cross. Nikki Cross also has a story or a connection with Alexa Bliss. I think I don't know what their plan is, but if they are thinking of bringing a girl in, I think Nikki Cross, a new version of Nikki Cross, who looked so pretty at the Hall of Fame. Did you see her?
Yes.
She looked so good. But if they want to bring in a female, they're probably going to do male. But if they were to bring in a female, just to spice things up, I'm cool with a Nikki Cross. Because Nikki Cross is one of those girls that's on the cusp. She has something. She has a certain it factor to her. And she's always kind of been over with the crowd. It's just that sidekick Nikki thing wasn't it for me. But now that we have the biggest, nastiest heel version of Alexa that we've ever had, maybe this will be a way to get Nikki over in the future. I don't know if that's where they're going. This is just my prediction.
I guess so. I mean, the thing is, unfortunately, is that I don't know of any male superstars on WWE's roster that can be able to be converted into a gimmick character that you can put next to the Fiend and make it in such a way that the match can be interesting and not be like that whole movie monster, type gimmick, thing there. So do I like the idea of Nikki Cross going after Alexa Bliss? The reality is no, because I hate saying this, but I don't think that it's a money match. The money match is with the Fiend. It's just a matter that we gotta find a dance partner for him, and that might be a little more complicated.
Well, based on the presentation that I got, Alexa is now the money. the fiend,
Well,
the
I
fiend took
mean,
that loss. Alexa's a former champ, and I'm not the biggest Alexa fan, and I'm here to admit that this version of Alexa is money. This this chick is for real. The only thing
well,
I kind of don't want them to do too much of the magic. Like, let's keep magic out of it between the ropes. But besides that, I'm cool with Alexa. If we want to build to a big Alexa match, and now present her, because that's it. Her and the Fiend are split. So I mean, yes. The good thing is that if you want to bring in a character, it could be an old character, and or a wrestler who's already established. But to face the Fiend, you're gonna have to go through some transformations anyway. You're gonna be a
yeah,
new version of that character. So in theory, it could be anyone, even someone who wasn't that over. If it's someone who at least has ever had some sort of connection with the fans, if the fans will be, if the story will be interesting, or if the fans will be like, no, like can't don't ruin this guy, like anything like that. And then when you first introduce him, you have him do a number on the Fiend. I think it can absolutely be done, and it can be good. So we'll see.
I, I have listen. I have the utmost confidence that they're going to work through this. I don't think that they would have built out this storyline to start out with without a real thought process. Again, they needed to give Orton a graceful exit. Thankfully, they did because it was time to separate them. I'm very happy that they did it the way they did because, again, the only person, and again, I just kept saying the only person that's going to be able to manipulate the Fiend was going to be Alexa Bliss, and thankfully, that's exactly what they did. So good stuff. Let's see what happens moving forward, but yeah, we're gonna have to find a new dance partner for the Fiend that's controlled by Alexa Bliss. Who that person is, we'll find out together.
All right, Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. This is bittersweet because this match should have, they've had probably 20, 30 in WWE.
100 matches in Ring of Honor.
Well, if you include their entire career, yes, they've probably had 300 matches. Who knows?
El Generico and Kevin Steen. Here we go, WrestleMania.
Yeah. So this is, I mean, look, in my opinion, these are two of the best workers in WWE. People may not know it, but Sami Zayn is really, really, really good. To me, in my opinion, in terms of consistent body of work, big matches in NXT, he is my favorite performer. I like his matches better than I like Gargano's matches. Gargano has had more, so there's probably, if you take Gargano's top 10 matches, they're going to be better than Sami Zayn's top 10. But Sami Zayn didn't get that many opportunities.
Well,
However,
Sami Zayn wasn't there nearly long enough. He was there for a little while and he was gone.
however, so look, right off the bat, Sami Zayn had a masterpiece with freaking Cesaro. He then had a masterpiece with Shinsuke Nakamura, and he had to me two masterpieces with Kevin Owens, including one where everyone was 1,000% sure that Kevin Owens really hurt Sami Zayn, and that Sami Zayn was fully concussed and was done.
Yeah, when he hit him with the power bomb on the apron. Yep.
Sami Zayn was that performance was so good, so damn realistic. The selling was so great that people were crying in the crowd. So I know what Sami Zayn is capable of. He has gotten almost zero opportunities to do it on the main roster, but out of nowhere, you need a match. You just felt it. I feel like people like the KO Mania gimmick. I feel like Vince,
you're
Vince,
one of them. You're one of
I
them.
love that gimmick, and I feel like Vince is with me on this one. I feel like me and Vince agree, and Vince is like, "Damn it, we gotta find something for Kevin. Damn it, he needs a new KO Mania shirt so we can sell a whole bunch." on WWE.com, WWEshop.com.
KO Mania 5, and he did.
He was like,
he
"Do
did
we
the
have
Mega
anything
Powers
for Kevin?
Explode gimmick with it.
We
both
don't have
pictures of
anything for
himself.
we don't have anything for Kevin. We'll put him with Sammy. They're always good together."
Steven Generico, damn it, let him fight.
And it's true, they're always good together. And this was really, really, really good. This reminded me, it was similar to Cesaro and Rollins the night before, where you get that hybrid guys who can do a lot of stuff, but they can also tell stories. And then you had the other story, which I was happy about, which is you have which Paul? Logan Paul?
Which Paul?
There's
Yes,
two
Logan
Pauls.
Paul. Yes, Logan
Paul. Logan Paul. Which my concern is, we got a celebrity. Let's have him embarrass our wrestlers, kind of like Bad Bunny's gonna embarrass The Miz. The difference is that Bad Bunny is really popular and kind of even earned some love from the fans there, right? Like
from the wrestlers too,
and from the wrestlers. So no matter what WWE did, you're not gonna convince anybody to like Logan Paul. He is not likable in real life. He is a hated dude in real life. And my concern was Logan Paul's gonna go out there, he's gonna embarrass Sami Zayn, and the crowd is not gonna like it. Thank God that Kevin Owens hit that stunner on Logan Paul. Because I was like, yes. If you're gonna bring in a celebrity, you're gonna do the favors for us. You're gonna take this stunner, and Logan Paul is smart. Because I forgot how long ago was the Shaq match, but when Shaq got put through the table and you see him laying there dead, that they took that image and they put it on everything. It was all over Twitter, all over Instagram. It's him laying on the lawn, him in space. Like the same thing started happening with Paul instantly after that stunner. You started seeing the image, a little cropped image of him like laid out everywhere. So Paul knew what he was doing. He was like, look, if I get hit with a stunner and I look really funny while I'm laying there on the mat, everyone's gonna be talking about me. And that's exactly what happened.
I mean, here's the thing. This match was fine for. Did I enjoy the match? The answer is yes. It was a very good match. I think that they exaggerated a couple of things, obviously, because when you take a look at what with I want to call him Steven Generico, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. The thing that is a little weird with the two of them is that they do spots, and of course there are sequences in the match where they hit themselves with big spot after big spot after big spot, and they just pop up and don't sell anything because the sequences we're getting from A to G, and we're hitting all this, we're hitting all the notes. That got to be a little annoying, but overall I enjoyed the match. They both did a very good job of telling their match. The one thing that got me is, again, I looked at Logan Paul and I thought to myself, I don't get the purpose of having him there for this. If it's just for the social media hits, fine. I think there's more to it than that, and I think that Logan Paul, they're going to probably try to see if he wants to get in the ring and probably do some kind of boxer versus wrestler type of gimmick with Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
But it just
yes.
it felt to me when I saw the match and I saw Logan Paul out there, I just thought to myself, this doesn't fit.
He didn't need to be out there, and the reason it doesn't fit is because there were no plans to make this happen. Or maybe there were plans, but it felt like it came from out of nowhere. And the conversation that was going on Twitter, I don't know if it was a work or a shoot, because on Twitter, you can talk to anyone at any time. And if Logan Paul reacted to Sami Zayn's tweet, let's say if it's a work, let's say it's a shoot, and Sami Zayn sends out a tweet and Logan Paul happens to react, Sami's a smart dude. If it's a shoot, he probably went to Vince right there and was like, look, Logan Paul's responding to me on Twitter. We should probably get this guy involved. He's really popular right now. And
he's got 23 million, whatever the hell.
Yeah, not only that,
it's a different audience. I get it.
Yeah, he's a big star, and he's very unlikable, and he gets a lot of people. when he does these boxing things, he gets a lot of attention because people want to see him get his ass kicked. But now he's doing the Mayweather because he's,
It's just a matter for me when I look at Logan Paul. I know that he boxes, but outside of that, I'm like, who? I don't know.
Well,
I don't know who the hell he is, and I don't know what he does.
Get used to it. He
He's
doesn't
just
do
famous for being
anything.
famous. And if you're just famous for being famous, for me, I see that and I'm like, you don't fit in.
Yeah, he doesn't fit in. This is just
It's
if we
exposure
get
for
Logan
exposure's
Paul,
sake. It made no sense.
if we get Logan Paul and he brings in an extra 100,000, he can potentially bring in another 20 million viewers. He has that kind of reach. He's not going to, obviously.
He's not. I don't.
Obviously, no one's gonna bring in 20 million extra viewers. However, the fact that someone has that kind of reach, at least 22 million people saw his post when he decided to write, "I will be at WrestleMania."
So you know what, Vic? What we need to do is we need to get 20 million subscribers, and then you and I could be, have a cameo at WrestleMania next year.
Absolutely, that's literally the plan. Anyway, and you're right. This match was rushed, and I don't blame Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. They were given 9 minutes, and this is probably their dream that they've probably had together since they first wrestled. And they probably were like, "Look, let's have our WrestleMania match that we've been talking about. It's probably a 20-minute match. We're gonna have to do it in 9." And I know that's probably not, that's not what everybody wants to do, and I'm sure that's not what Kevin and Sami wanted to do. But they'll probably never get this opportunity again. So they're like, "Look, let's do all the cool shit we like to do, and let's have as much fun as possible."
Sure.
And it's not like this was a high-profile match. There was no story behind it. It was just put together.
No, it was a match for the sake of.
It was a match for the sake of a match. So go out there and have fun, and that's what they did. Obviously, if you give these guys 20 minutes, the story will be 20 times better. But they got 9 minutes. They did what they could, and they had fun with it.
Yeah, it was never meant to be a feature match. Obviously, with Logan Paul in there, that kind of brought in a new wrinkle. But, ultimately, I would have been fine seeing Zayn and Owens fight each other without Logan Paul. Honestly, he added nothing for me in this match.
No, of course not.
Zero. He added nothing.
Sheamus versus Riddle. Exactly what I expected. But except for Sheamus defeating Riddle, but then I went back and remembered that they probably never were going to go with Riddle in the first place. That's probably Keith Lee. This is probably the Keith Lee spot. It probably would have been Sheamus against Keith Lee for the U.S. title or something like that. So I guess since Riddle was not the original plan, now they're going to put it on Sheamus, and now they'll have their real plans, going forward.
Yeah, hopefully Keith Lee will be able to come back soon. I mean, listen,
what's anything? I don't know what's going on with Keith Lee.
But Keith Lee, from what I've read that there was a health issue with him, and they've basically, I don't want to say that they've medically disqualified him because that's not the case, but I think they're sitting him out while he goes through whatever medical issues he's going through.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what
so we don't know how long this might take.
Yeah, no, we don't. We just hope for the big man that he that he stays healthy and can get back in the ring soon.
Absolutely.
But again, and the thing was, this is a match that I really enjoyed.
They beat the out of each other.
Oh yeah.
They did a bunch of cool stuff.
I love Sheamus. That's what I'm telling you. Sheamus is not my favorite wrestler, but God, I love watching him wrestle every single time.
This is what I said about, who are we talking about? Where I said, Killer Cross. Add some of Sheamus' psychology to your matches, because when all else fails, just beat the shit out of each other.
well, here's the difference, right? I've I've had private conversations with other colleagues of mine when they ask me about this, and they tell me, it's like, yo, should Karrion Kross just be moved up to the main roster and not stay on NXT? And my response is no. And I look up and I said, because if Karrion Kross was to come up to the main roster as he currently is, he won't make it. Scarlett will be the star, and unfortunately, because again, the thing is with him is that there's still things about his in-ring presentation that still need to be worked out. And I would prefer that they're worked out in NXT, where it's a smaller audience. You know, again, no matter, 700,000 people, whatever that audience is, it's not 2 million, 2.5 million people watching on TV. It's a smaller audience, and it's in an environment where he's going to be nurtured and in a way that he can really grow and become the in-ring performer that he really can be. I love Sheamus's work because everything that Sheamus does, it connects. Like physically, when you get in the ring with Sheamus, you're catching an ass whipping, it. But the thing is, everything he does, it connects. You see it, you feel it, but it's not reckless. It's completely safe. I think with Cross, the difference is that Cross tries to be too safe, and unfortunately, the end result of trying to be too safe is that it looks see-through, and it's not as intense as it should be, considering the way that he comes across in presentation. And those are the kinds of things that he has to learn, because if he comes up to the main roster, he's not going to come up to the main roster to be working, at the bottom of the card and work his way up. He's going to be thrust into a really kick-ass position right from Jump Street. And I would prefer that he's a closer to a finished product. A guy like Sheamus is, again, Sheamus is not my favorite wrestler, but again, I love watching Sheamus. Anytime Sheamus is wrestling, I want to see it because I know it's going to be physical, whether he's on the winning end or the losing end. And again, Matt Riddle held his own. Matt Riddle hung in there with him. He gave it as good as he got. So it's not.
Yeah,
and again,
Riddle, the blue chipper. Yeah, so he was just fine.
Listen, with Matt Riddle is a really, really good wrestling talent. The problem is that he has a goofy gimmick. And the goofy gimmick, unfortunately, precludes him from getting past the level that he's in. Whether that's done on purpose, whether that's, okay.
Pretty sure it's done on purpose.
But what I'm saying is that there's going to come a point where we'll have to do more with Riddle. And I think that he's got the ability. He certainly has the ability to get there. And the match that he had with Sheamus at WrestleMania is a real it's a real indicator of that. I thought that the match was really a lot of fun, and I enjoyed it. It was physical. It told a good story. And at the end of the day, when Sheamus walked out with the United States title and Matt Riddle walked out of there with a fat lip, I was like, perfect. Well done.
All right. Apollo Crews defeated Big E. How did he do that? Well, he had some help. Who helped him? Dabba-Kato, which I was cool with, because now that you have this new gimmick, he's royalty now. And I just finished watching Coming to America 2, and you have, you kind of need some protection when you're royalty. It's true. So
that's a mighty big insurance policy he's got there.
So
man.
when they bring him in, I instantly start thinking about Coming to America, because he's in the military style.
I didn't think, yeah.
And he's a big dude. I mean, I liked it. I don't have much to say. I thought that Big E would be winning the WWE Championship at this WrestleMania. If you asked me 10 months ago, that's what I thought was going to happen.
I thought so too.
So he's kind of had a little bit of not a fall from grace, because it's not really his fault that he lost. It's actually the only reason he lost this match is because Apollo Crews has found something interesting, and we've kind of found something that works for him.
Yes.
And his character stuff has been a struggle. So now we might have a new star here, and he has a bodyguard, or whatever you want to call him, security, or
an associate,
King's Guard, and maybe this will help Dabba-Kato get over. And I think here we go. We got some new faces, some fresh stories to tell. So I'm cool with this. I like that Big E lost this, not because of Big E, but it's more about what's happening with Apollo Crews and Big E. I don't want to say that this. I'm not necessarily. I'm still not buying him as a singles yet. I want to
No,
buy him
me
as a singles. I've seen all the talent. He's as talented as can be. But I want it to happen organically, and it hasn't happened yet. And I don't know how you do it. And I don't know if you needed to break him up from the New Day because I mean I don't know. I mean I don't see why. I'm
the reason why, in order, if you want to seriously make Big E a star, the reason why you have to break him up from Kofi and Woods is because the New Day, they're so synonymous as a tag team unit, and they're so good as the trio that I don't necessarily know if any one of them could be able to really get over as a single. Kofi Kingston did it when he did the whole Kofi Mania thing, but it was partially it was partly because the fans really got behind it, but at the same time, there was never a real moment where Kofi Kingston was separated from the New Day. Like it was always, they were always one and the same. So Kofi never really got a chance to break out as a single because I don't think that was ever the truest intent. With the New Day, I think that separating Big E from them is the right thing to do. It's a matter that right now WWE is not yet ready to pull the trigger on Big E, and I'm okay with that because I still think that there's another level that E needs to find. In this particular contest, when he lost again, I thought that the concept of the match was the shits. I didn't enjoy it because it was, they say it's a Nigerian
Drum.
whatever, a Nigerian drum match. But when I saw it, the only thing I thought to myself was just like, this is basically it's like a weapons match. That's what it felt like, and I just thought to myself, in a more ideal setting, again, and I'm going to say this, by no means this match would have been better as a cinematic match, although these two wrestlers unfortunately are not, they don't deserve to get that level of production treatment, because it would have made more sense had E and Apollo Crews fought in a match that was more cinematic, where there was actually drummers out there and they can do it in the nightfall in the dark, and and it has that real vibe. It's just a matter that, again, these two guys are growing, and especially Apollo Crews, he's growing and doing a lot of good things, but he's not there yet. And again, with Dabba-Kato, that was, I saw that and I said, good. You needed to get the belt on Apollo Crews, and they did it in such a way that they never, they didn't sacrifice E in the process. E got screwed over, so he gets an out. Because had E won the match, Crews is finished. So let's just be for real. If Crews would have lost at WrestleMania, he's finished. Like, because again, you can't lose all the time. He won the belt. He introduced a new associate. E got screwed over, so now you got more rematches. And at this point, if you're talking about a situation where E might need Kofi and Woods in the future, because let's just say that Apollo Crews gets more people in his crew. Let's say he adds one or two more, and E can't do it by himself. He's going to need Kofi and Woods to help him. And then that's how you can have a quote unquote special match, because since E, Kofi, and Woods are not together all the time, and then you can say we're going to put the three of them against Apollo Crews and his his swordsman, or whatever you want to call him. Then you can have fun 6-man tag matches and more special attraction matches in order to continue telling the story. But then you can add Kofi and Woods in the story as well, if need be. So yeah, that's, again, the concept of the match was bad. The actual match itself, it was very physical and it was good. The ending was what made the match. It was done very, very well for that Thumbs up.
All right, Rhea Ripley defeats Asuka. I'm gonna flat out say it. I did not have the same investment
No.
for this victory like I did for Bianca Belair. And if you told me this a year ago, I would say you are crazy.
Well, I
that's
think. I'm sorry, I'm
yeah. So
jumping
if
in.
1 year ago you go, hey, guess what? And next year's WrestleMania, we're gonna put the titles on Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair. Which one are you more excited for? I would have said I'm more excited for Rhea Ripley.
Oh yeah, you would have said Rhea Ripley, but of course.
Yup. What a difference a year makes. Is basically what I'm trying to say.
Well,
This story was not told. This is not the story I wanted told. This is not the match I wanted to see. Even though I like both girls, even though they're both good in the ring, but WWE did not care about Asuka for the last, I don't know, 6 months maybe. It felt like you.
I'd like to be able to argue with you, but unfortunately, I don't think I can.
No, you can't.
I would love to be able to argue.
I
with
would love
you,
to
but
argue. I would love to argue with myself because
I don't have enough ammunition to make a cogent argument there.
yeah. Rhea Ripley is a totally different story, but after what happened last year at WrestleMania, the only story I care about is Rhea Ripley defeating Charlotte. Now it looks like that's where we're going, but it's not the same, and that's fine. That's totally fine. It was still a good match. I still thought Asuka showed because Asuka at WrestleMania, if you've noticed, she turns it up a little bit. She has another gear, and she has a little bit more speed than you think, and she has a little bit more of a high powered assault.
Asuka's a fantastic talent. Just unfortunately, people are starting not to see it because she's doing more of this comedy stuff. But
Yeah, I think
she's badass, man. Don't sleep on her,
yeah,
man.
I think I don't know. Since all of this has kind of been working for Asuka, I'd like to see something different now. You lost your title. You can stay a babyface. That's fine. Let's get rid of the green stuff around your face. Let's go with a new paint job. Let's get some new gear. Everything else is fine. And let's tell some new stories because I think now that she's not the champ, where it's almost like you have to come up with these interesting, intricate stories, which they don't. But it feels like if you don't have something good, let's not do anything. That's almost what I feel like. That's their thought process. At least now she's just a great worker. Hey, we have a great worker in the back. What do? Have great matches. You have a great worker, you have great matches. Let's have great matches with Asuka now. Let's put her in there with the young up and coming talent. Whoever you could find that you think she could tear the house down with, and let's just let her go out there and tear the house down for a couple months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. If she gets over again, like she was when she was actually hot, actually when she first started misting again, when it was her and Kairi Sane, I felt like that she had a lot of good stuff going on around that time. It's almost like that was better than her as like this current 6 months. Like I said, it has not been great.
Yeah, I mean the one thing about Asuka is, and again, this is where when you get a lot of really great talent at the top of the card, it's not that Asuka doesn't belong there. She certainly does. It's just a matter that when you have that much top tier talent, at the top of the women's card, you start looking at it and saying, man, how do we make this work? And that's where things can get a little dicey. But this particular match, I mean, listen, I agree with you. I didn't have the same investment. I think part of it is that most fans, I don't include myself in this particular, at least not as heavily as I did a year ago. I think that the only match that the fans wanted to see Rhea Ripley, if if Rhea Ripley was going to win the title, the only person that they want to see Rhea Ripley beat is Charlotte Flair. Anybody else feels like a letdown. And that's something that for me, I totally understand. I get it and I understand, but by the same token, I hate saying this, but get over it. Now, the WWE do a great job of getting us to this match to where we felt like both people were hot? The answer is no. You've already gave your diatribe about Asuka over the last 6 months, that she has not been presented as super strong, and I can't disagree. And unfortunately, where Rhea Ripley just shows up on Raw, a week before, a week or two before WrestleMania, she doesn't even have a match. She just shows up and lays down a challenge to Asuka. We're like, well, okay. That's not exactly the hottest piece of business to do in terms of getting Rhea Ripley over. The match in and of itself was not perfect. It was a little choppy at times. I think part of it is probably a communication issue. And again, as great as Rhea Ripley is, she looked like she was cracking just slightly under the heavy spotlight of WrestleMania. She looked like she had a couple of instances there where spots got messed up, where you could clearly tell it's like, all right, there's a little bit of miscommunication. And I'm like, okay, can I forgive it? The answer is yes. It's not necessarily that I need to see a perfectly executed match. But by the same token, it almost seems like this match would make a lot more sense if we were able to get it to where Asuka was treated as a badass for several months prior, and Rhea Ripley came in as a heel, and go out there and just dominate people, and beat the piss out of people and all that jazz. And then we're able to kind of get to that match. Unfortunately, they didn't have the time to do it, and we just didn't get there. So the match was what it was. Was it good? Yes. Was it great? No. I think both women worked really, really hard. Rhea Ripley, when she hits you, she hits you. The DDT spot that Asuka did from the apron to the floor. Oh boy. Like, it was safe. Don't get me wrong. There was nothing dangerous about it. It was done safely. Sometimes I would just wish, that we didn't need to do all that crazy jazz, but it is what it is. I'm not gonna get too hot about it. But the finish felt a little flat because obviously, Asuka was trying to hit Rhea Ripley with the kicks, and then all of a sudden she's like, hit me again. Then she moves out of the kick, hits her with the Riptide 1, 2, 3. And I was like, okay. I was like, I am so glad to see that Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley are the champions, because the future of the WWE women's division is now. And I was so happy to see that. However, I wish that Rhea Ripley would have been able to get this under different circumstances. And I think that everybody would have felt a hell of a lot differently if the person on the other side of the ring was Charlotte Flair.
Yes.
No disrespect to Asuka, but that's just the way that it went.
But it literally has nothing to do. It has nothing to do with Charlotte being any better than Asuka. The only thing it has to do with is that the story that we saw last year had to do with Charlotte. That's literally all it has to do.
That's pretty much it, yeah.
And we just want a cohesive story that makes sense and that gives us the ending that we expect based on the story that you told us previously.
A year ago, yeah.
Yeah. This is what, it's probably not their fault because Charlotte, they weren't going to go with, I don't know what they were going to go with. Let me not.
There was no way to put Charlotte on WrestleMania this year under all the circumstances and all the craziness. It would have made no sense to have inserted Charlotte into this match last minute and make it a triple threat match,
Oh, yeah.
considering that the main event was a triple threat match.
My
There was no way
question-
you could have done this.
My question is, what was the initial plan? Was it Charlotte against Rhea
Well,
for the title?
I don't know.
And that's
You would-
that's my only concern. It's like, man,
Part of me says no, but here's the
but we
reason
don't
why.
know.
Here's the reason why I say this. Part of me says no, because had that been the case,
Then
after
Charlotte would have been the
after the
champion.
Royal Rumble in January, Rhea Ripley would have shown her face on either Raw or SmackDown fairly immediately afterwards. And the fact is that the Royal Rumble was at the end of January, and we didn't see Rhea Ripley on Raw until mid-March. And I think that I'm being conservative when I say mid-March, because I think it was later than that. So that's a huge gap of time, considering that you only have somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 weeks between the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, and you squander maybe 7 of them. And Rhea Ripley's just on ice. She's not on NXT. She's not on Raw. She's not on SmackDown. What are we doing with her? And if it was all a matter of, hey, we're trying to figure out what's up with Charlotte, I'm like, those are things that you have to kind of, and again, I don't know all the behind the scenes stuff, so I'm kind of, giving the WWE a hard time without really knowing without really knowing all the mitigating circumstances. But it kind of seemed like if the whole idea behind Rhea Ripley coming to the main roster was predicated on, was Charlotte available, that's not very feasible. If you're gonna bring in Rhea Ripley, you got to commit. And yes, Rhea Ripley, she's gonna be great as the champion. It's just a matter that this match would have meant a whole lot more. And again, the match everybody wanted to see was Rhea Ripley against Charlotte Flair. We didn't get it, and obviously the WWE is now making moves towards having that happen. I just don't know how quickly it will happen. So,
I mean, I don't want it to happen at all. I mean, it's gonna happen because they're already talking. They're already talking about it.
it will happen. It will happen.
I wanted it at Mania, but whatever. I'll get over it.
Yeah, we'll have to.
Okay. Roman Reigns versus. Before we go to this, Bailey should have had a match. I do not want to hear it. They had a 30-minute.
You're the choir here, dude.
They had a 30-minute rain delay that they were not expecting, and it pushes the show back 40 minutes. No one cared. No one cared. No one watching was like, "Oh my God, these 40 minutes are dragging."
It actually gave me time to buy dinner, so I was good.
Yeah. So you couldn't give Bailey a match. It's like, come on, guys. They obviously know what they have because they kept trying to squeeze her into the show and find ways to get her onto both nights, and that's cool and all. That's fine, but you just fucked up. You forgot about her, and that sucks.
Well,
they
okay.
forgot about her. They forgot
All right,
about her.
I'll play the.
I want to believe they forgot about her, because if they just looked at this card and said, "There's no room. We have 15 match or whatever, 14 matches, and there's no room for Bailey,"
which is just not true.
That's unacceptable.
That is
unacceptable. Either way, they took a big risk. First of all, you have Hulk Hogan out there who was kind of getting booed out the building. I don't know if you heard it, but he's getting booed. Not so much. It's mixed, but it's like, okay, the fans.
It's
not all the fans are fans of Hogan. Then the Bellas now are pretty much loved. However, they're not loved so much that they can put their hands on Bailey. And the fans almost started booing when they did start booing, but then I think Titus said something like, "Okay, WrestleMania, yay!" And then the fans were like, "All right, whatever."
Here's the reality of this. I don't disagree with your premise about why is Bailey not wrestling. Here's the thing about it. When you look at it, considering all the people that got paired off, right? Who would you put Bayley in the ring against? You don't have to answer that. You don't have to answer that. I'm just saying, just think about that.
No,
Considering all
I
the
have an
women.
answer. Here's
ahead.
my answer. My answer is that I would have had WrestleMania booked a year in advance, and I would have had my plan A, plan B, and plan C for Bayley. Because 1 year ago, in my opinion, Bayley was a top 3 or 4 woman on the roster.
And she still is.
So
And she
I would
still
go,
is.
okay, if my top 10 females.
I mean, if Charlotte Flair considered probably in the eyes of the company the top woman in the company, and she wasn't on WrestleMania, then that's unacceptable. And we're sitting here
she's
saying
not
that
on
Bayley,
WrestleMania for a reason.
correct. But what I'm
They
saying
had a
is
plan
that
for Charlotte.
but what I'm saying is that even with Bayley, honestly, the match that would have made sense would have been Bayley versus Sasha. But once you paired Sasha off with Bianca Belair, which was a wonderful pairing, there really is no room for Bayley. Now, the one thing that I was upset about is when Bayley came out, I just thought to myself, all right, perfect. This is going to be the spot where we either see Becky Lynch or Ronda Rousey. Particularly Becky Lynch. I think had Becky Lynch come out and beat up Bayley,
That's acceptable.
That's acceptable. But when I saw Nikki and Brie do it, I was like, eh.
The only reason
like,
it's
no.
not because people have gained the respect and the love, and they do like Nikki and Brie, but
that's fine.
But not enough.
But listen,
not enough to put to beat up Bayley. Not enough. I'm sorry. The only person who could have went out there and beat up Bayley was a Ronda, a Becky. It would have to be a huge star. And not that the Bellas aren't huge stars, they are, but they're also
in
polarizing.
This scenario, it doesn't work. In this scenario,
it doesn't work. They're very polarizing characters when it comes to the fans that were in attendance, who are probably the hardest and most diehard fans you're gonna have. That were like, fuck it, we're going to the COVID capital. No, I'm kidding. I'm sure everything worked out fine. Either way, that's just my tangent. I hope from now on, because every time they showed Bayley, she was freaking electric. She's becoming an electrifying heel, and it is insane
that she did. But I will say this though.
I love Bayley.
I love Bayley, and and here's the thing though. What was I upset necessarily? Listen, I thought that it was a travesty that Bayley didn't have a match, but the way that Bayley has been booked when she lost the title to Sasha Banks, it's not that Bayley was de-emphasized, but what Bayley was doing was that Bayley was essentially utilizing her goodwill to help some of the other girls who were maybe not getting as much shine get wins on her. And again, does Bayley lose any of her equity by losing matches to lower card women? In this case, the answer is no, because Bayley for the last year has probably been the best thing on WWE TV. Her along with Sasha Banks, whether they were as a team or as opponents, it was gold. But what ends up happening is that, okay, in this particular instance, yeah, does it suck that Bayley didn't have a match at WrestleMania? Absolutely, it sucked. And yes, is there something wrong? Yes, there's something terribly wrong. There's something terribly wrong. But at the same time, I'm looking at it and saying, I think it was a missed opportunity that, again, you have Nikki and Brie go out there and listen, we can say all the good things you want to say about the Bella Twins, and all of them would be true. But in this particular instance, if you're going to have Bayley, who is I'm going to say a popular heel, not meaning that the fans are cheering for her, but meaning that the fans,
she has the respect of
she has the respect of the fans, and the fans like her enough that they'll boo her. If you're going to have somebody come out and put their hands on her and embarrass her, it has to be a big star, a returning star. If it would have been Becky Lynch, the roof would have blown off the place. If it would have been Ronda Rousey, same bit of business. Because then what you're doing is that you're establishing that, hey, one of our top female stars has come back, and now you have a program for Bayley coming out of WrestleMania. So it's a missed opportunity, but ultimately I think that Bayley is going to be programmed with Bianca Belair as one of the opponents that she's going to have as part of her championship run. So again, although I agree with you, it sucked that Bayley didn't get a match at WrestleMania, but let's not get too worked up about it, because Bayley's going to be just fine.
Oh no, I'm gonna get worked up about it. But for now, I'm done. Okay. So Edge, Daniel Bryan, and Reigns, and this match had me. No, not the match, but the program and the build had me scratching my head, because I know I was in denial. I was like, well, Edge, we talked about it here. In my opinion, Edge had a few heelish moments, but he wasn't a heel.
Mm-mm.
But then he kind of solidified with a few promos. Okay, I'm a heel. If you ask me, in the final week,
his promos were fantastic.
Yeah, but they also were saying,
he sat down
hey,
and he had the spotlight.
Yeah, but he was also pretty much trying to say, look, I'm a heel. Now that Roman Reigns wins, we know why he's a heel, because this eliminates, turning him heel eliminated the want for him to win, or the potential want. It wasn't as much. At least in WWE's, that's at least the idea, I believe. That was the idea. The idea is, okay, maybe if we keep Edge a babyface, or a full-blown babyface, and he keeps getting more fans to love him and love him and love him, and he keeps reminding everybody of, why y'all love me, why I'm, and why y'all missed me so much. That might not go well when we decide for Roman to pin him. So maybe if we get Edge to kind of turn on Daniel, and everybody loves Daniel so much, then when Roman wins, it's not that bad. And I think that's why they did it, because, and now I also think that maybe they do have a Brock program or a Rock program or something huge, because I really do think, I know you wanted it to be Roman, and I'm cool with it being Roman, but the best story is Edge winning that title. That's the best story for me. Does he need it? No. But Edge wins the title. Roman just gets it back whenever the hell he wants to. It's not that big a deal, unless you want to keep Roman superhuman level strong, because he has a match coming up with The Rock. And if that's the case, then okay, fine.
Right there, big boy, right here. The moolah, the money.
So maybe that's why I think now, seeing the way the match was laid out and seeing how they kind of went so hard to get us to kind of not like Edge that much, I'm like, damn, was it that big a deal? But I guess I'm gonna predict that maybe there really is maybe a Brock match, or maybe even a Rock match coming. Maybe if it's Rock, maybe next year's WrestleMania. And if he's gonna fight Rock at next year's WrestleMania, he can't lose.
And let's
he just can't lose until that match. And he should probably win that. He should win that match too.
Oh, of course.
But he can't.
Yes.
He definitely can't lose until after he takes care of that business with The Rock. And then he can lose 6 months after that. But in terms of this match, I thought it was really, really good. I thought all three guys had great performances. Like they all looked like all-stars. Like you got. And Roman looked, he looked like the biggest, baddest heel, legit heel in all of WWE on both nights. He seemed legit. The fans really booed him hard. They were into it. They were into everything he was doing. They were into everything Daniel was doing. They were into everything Edge was doing. Edge looked super cool. Daniel Bryan looks like he put on 7 pounds. I don't know. His chest looked really wide and really thick. I was like, what's going on with Bryan? He's looking like Daniel Bryan.
That's called hitting the gym, my friend.
Yeah, he don't look
those
like
weights heavy.
He don't look like skinny Bryan no more. He might have put on 15 pounds.
Listen, they announced Daniel Bryan at 210, and I honestly think it's probably 220.
Well,
he's definitely not 210. He's definitely not 200. He was just 170 while he was retired. And when he came back, he said, I kind of like being this weight. But he has put on weight since then. I say for a shoot, he's between 185 and 190, maybe, which means that you can announce him at 210, 215. and that's the right thing to do.
And no one will bat an eye. Correct.
Because he looked jacked. He looked pretty jacked. I thought that was cool. But yeah, like I said, all-star performances. I like, and this is a good thing about Edge matches, unique counters to popular moves. It's like well-established moves. This is an old school. There's Austin Rock here. I always go back to that. It's like that was kind of the philosophy, and you see it a lot in New Japan now. That's why people love those New Japan matches. The big matches have like certain tropes, and one is let's reverse all of our cool shit. Jericho does it too, and he's from that era.
Mm-hmm.
Let's have a move that's established that everybody can see coming, and hit it with a reversal that we never expected. And I think you saw that, like, each guy probably had a moment like that in this match. You also had the double spear, which I guess needed to happen, which is really tricky. It's like a double super kick. It's almost impossible.
Well, without them hurting each other for real.
But they did a good job. They did a good job with that. That looks cool. And I even like the visual of Roman pinning both guys. Roman did not dominate that match.
Nope.
If anything, I think Daniel dominated that match. I think Daniel kicked the most ass.
I honestly think in this match that all three guys got their stuff in equally.
Yeah, it was good.
Again, the only note, and again, it's a simple note, but I think that there's something about this here, like, and it comes in the entrances. Daniel Bryan comes to the ring, and he's doing the whole yes, yes, yes thing, and the fans are all with him, and he comes out to the ring. He's got that high energy with the yes chant. Edge comes down to the ring, and he does his whole thing running across the stage and hyping up the crowd, and everybody's losing it. When Roman Reigns comes to the ring, Roman Reigns is stoic. Paul Heyman is stoic. Jey Uso needs to also match that energy. Jey Uso was a little too hype, and I didn't like that because I found it distracting.
His character has been presented as one of the hyenas from The Lion King.
Correct, but what I'm saying is that even in that situation, what I want to see is that I found it distracting. I don't want Jey Uso to be completely stoic, but I mean he was a little too animated. And it got to the point where I'm like, all right, if I see Roman Reigns and he's the star of this trio, and he's just calm, cool, stoic, Paul Lee is the same, then I'm like, I want Jey Uso to kind of match that energy, because when you see Daniel Bryan come to the ring and you see Edge come to the ring, it's all very high energy. And when they come to the ring, it's more like, all right, I don't want to say daddy's home type of thing, but you can tell that the quote unquote adult has come into the room. That's the energy that he gives off. The tribal chief has arrived. And when the chief arrives, he doesn't need to be animated, because everybody just knows that when the chief walks into the room, he's going to command that respect, and everyone's going to give it to him. And I think that Jey Uso needed to match that energy. As far as the match is concerned, the first thing I thought to myself when I saw the match is, why did Jey Uso come down to the ring with Roman Reigns? Well, that was immediately answered within the first 10 seconds of the match. Because Daniel Bryan got knocked out to the floor and Jey Uso super kicked him, and I was like, perfect. Okay, makes total sense. They makes total sense. They're doing exactly what they're supposed to do. Brilliant. I was like, perfect. This makes total sense. When Daniel Bryan and Edge finally, get their hands on Jey Uso and they take him out of the equation, I was like, okay, this is perfect, because now this is going to essentially be a real triple threat match where each guy's going to have to do for themselves. They each guy gets their stuff in. You know, obviously you talk about the double spear. You know, when Roman Reigns went to to hit the Superman punch, and then Edge grabbed him, and he was able to to reverse it and hit him with the neck breaker and all that. That was, again, great counter wrestling. Daniel Bryan got his moment in, especially when he was doing the yes kicks, and I mean he got both of them good. Where it's like boom, 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 and he's knocking both of them, and I was like, yo, listen, I know that Daniel Bryan's not trying to kill him with it, but damn, it looked like it hurt. They're eating him, and in the end, when it looked like Roman, in the end of the match, because again, I'm skipping through a lot of parts. I'm trying to hit the high notes here, but in the end of the match, when Edge hit Daniel Bryan with the concerto, Edge eliminated Bryan. Bryan was done after that, and it was the right thing to do. He's finished. He goes to do it to Roman Reigns. Jey Uso comes to the rescue and interferes. He gives Edge he gives Roman Reigns enough time to get up. Roman Reigns hits Edge with the spear. He could have simply pinned him right then and there, and it would have looked like he stole the match. He went and then basically beat Edge. He basically, he beat Edge with the same sword that he uses. Hit him with the concerto, and then he just said, screw it. He put both of them on top. He put Edge on top of Bryan, 1, 2, 3. I looked up and I said, what WWE did was they just elevated Roman Reigns to even a higher level. And I didn't think there was one. We found it. Because essentially what they're telling us is with Roman Reigns is, ladies and gentlemen, Roman Reigns is the man. And no one is going to dethrone him. No one. Now, the beauty of this match is, when you're talking about did Edge turn heel throughout the process of this, the answer is no.
Well, he did. He
No,
won't
no.
be. He won't be.
No,
but
here's the reality of it. When you see these three personalities, Roman Reigns is definitely the heel. No moments about this. Roman Reigns is the heel. Daniel Bryan is the closest thing to a white meat babyface, although he's not. But he's the closest thing to the white meat babyface in this trio, and Edge is straddling the middle. And the thing about Edge is that every single thing that he's done where his actions are getting apparently more and more heelish, more and more desperate, he did a fantastic job on SmackDown this past Friday, and then on Talking Smack when he had that segment with Paul Heyman, which is 7 minutes of gold. And if anybody gets the chance to, please watch it. That's 7 minutes of gold. Because Paul Lee's basically telling Edge, I know you, I like you, I respect you, and I'm sorry of what's going to happen to you when Roman Reigns gets his hands on you, because he's going to end you, he's going to finish you. And basically what Edge's response was, he basically told them about the match he had at WrestleMania 22 with Mick Foley, where he jumped, he jumped through in the burning table, and the descriptors. Edge can describe this way better than I ever could. But the promos were so good that I just thought to myself, he's not a heel, he's not a babyface, but he's on the verge of losing it. Because Edge is so obsessed with winning the title that he doesn't care what he has to do. That is not essentially a heel, because a heel does dastardly things for the sake of, and a babyface would not do it because he's too, there's this sense of, right and justice. When you have somebody that just loses it, and they're not on the light side of the force or the dark side of the force, they're somewhere in the middle. That's where things get really, really complicated. But Edge is able to perfectly, weave in that world. He is excellent. He's an excellent wrestler, but after watching this, he's an excellent actor. He's excellent at what he does. The match was terrific. The match went for 35 minutes, and they could have went for another 20, and I would have been just fine, because the match didn't feel old. It was so much fun. I loved it. I loved everything about this match. One spot that I loved is when Daniel Bryan put Roman Reigns in the yes lock. And if you look in the back of that shot, it was Paul Heyman, and he's literally like, oh, and he's almost like freaking out. And then when he sees that, he's like, yeah, go get him, go get. I was like, this is gold. I was like, this is absolutely perfect. Like Paul Lee played it perfectly. Paul Lee's like freaking out, but
like he does 98% of the time. Right?
I'm just saying that all these little things, it's just pure genius because he knew where the shot was and he moved himself right into the shot. And you see his reaction in the background, seeing that Roman Reigns is in trouble. Paul Lee's not going to get in the ring to do anything. Jey Uso's not around. So he's like freaking out, like, oh my God, because the levels are escalating where it's like, oh my God, Roman Reigns has been in this hole now 10 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute. And you're like, oh crap, he's not going to get out of this. So all of these things are just perfect little elements. And again, when Roman Reigns won the match, he got help from Jey Uso and got a lot of it. No one got buried in this match. Everyone looked outstanding. As far as I'm concerned, the right guy won. Because again, would have been a feel-good story had Edge won? Yeah, sure. But the only way that works is Edge has to be the white meat babyface. And he wasn't.
Well, he could have been if they planned this out.
But what I'm saying is I think they did plan this out. And it actually worked perfectly. Again, on paper, when I saw Daniel Bryan put in this match, I was like, oh, no. They're doing this to take the belt off of Roman without Roman losing. And they told the story brilliantly from the time that Daniel Bryan got inserted. And it was every single thing they did, including the match, was brilliant. Now, this story is not over. It's not. Because again, Roman Reigns, look, if you just see the picture of Roman Reigns pinning both guys, you think, oh, Roman Reigns killed them both. But if you watch the match, you realize that wasn't what happened. Edge and Daniel Bryan are now going to have a tremendous beef because you're going to see the two of them wrestle against each other. Mm-hmm. And it's with the thought process that we're going to fight each other, and whoever wins here gets Roman Reigns next. And then underneath, you'll have Cesaro. You know, you may have another match with Owens. You know, there'll be other guys. The line is long for Roman Reigns, and guess what? I don't see any of those cats beating him. Now, if the match that we're looking forward to is next year at WrestleMania at Jerry World in Dallas, and let's say presumably that you can get the full 100,000 people over there in Dallas, Texas, and you can get The Rock versus Roman Reigns, hell yeah. And can you keep Roman Reigns undefeated for a year? Hell yeah. There's nobody in the WWE roster right now. And believe me, you got a lot of really great talents. But Roman Reigns is at another level right now. And in all honesty, keep the title on him as long as you need to. Because there's no point in having him lose if you know that the main objective is going to be him versus the Rock. And guess what? If they want to get somebody in between, hey, there's a boy out in West Newbury, Massachusetts. Call him up and have Cena come and work a program with Roman Reigns. You think that won't draw money? Come on, Playboy. Roman Reigns is the man right now. And that match at WrestleMania, the only thing it did, it raised him up another level. Excellently done. That, my friends, is what a main event should look like. All three guys are top guys. All three guys put on a clinic, and all three guys looked like megastars. And no one got buried at the end. No one.
All right. We're good.
So overall, thumbs up.
Yes.
WrestleMania, thumbs up.
Thumbs up. Thumbs up.
Awesome.
It was a fun show. Fun shows. I thought the first night was a little bit more. I thought the first night was the fun night, but the second night still bought it.
Oh yeah.
So, and it had that big main event. So, they did their thing.
I'll tell you, man. WrestleMania this year, I truly enjoyed it, and I think part of it is that I thought that the build for WrestleMania was very underwhelming. You know, with very few exceptions, I thought the build to WrestleMania was very underwhelming, and the WWE brought it. They brought it with NXT, they brought it with WrestleMania, and in all honesty, if I'm the WWE, they should be very proud of themselves. Very, very proud of themselves for the work they did, because it was excellent. It was excellent work, and in all honesty, I look forward to seeing what they do moving forward, because now they did a great job of WrestleMania, but it's about what happens now that that's over. We're moving forward. Let's see what happens. But ultimately it was a fun night, 2 fun nights of wrestling, and in all honesty, I think that I could look back on these shows in a couple of months, couple of years, be able to rewatch it and still have fun and enjoy both shows for what they were, because they were a lot of fun. And with that, we're going to remind y'all, Instagram, the Twitter machine. We are at the Wrestlebros. TheWrestleBros. For Vic, I'm Lou. Deuces.